Today, Kareem's quest is in the community of New River. Now, this community is basically inundated with water. Behind me is what you're looking at right now is just settled water. Nothing is moving. Now, this is going to give way to a lot of waterborne diseases like, dengue. You know what I mean? You have things like yellow fever that the Ministry of Health is right now very concerned about. When we just came, we saw a young man ride up to his home that's over there, and you could see the despondent look on his face because that is his home and they're still living there, right? Not everybody have somewhere that they can go to and they can escape to. Nothing like that. They are still living right there in terms of just, don't have any other options. And I mean, we handed in some care packages because people going to need help continuously, all right? I mean, I tell people that, as much as we love the influx of help that we're getting, please think of it as a continuous thing. There's next year, January, there's February, there's March. There are different phases. So let me come and show you even this home. Now, this community used to also, well, it's adjacent to the Santa Cruz bypass. So if you're familiar with the Santa Cruz bypass, you will be familiar with this area. Now, I can't imagine, it has been over 2 weeks now since we have had the Hurricane Melissa, and I can't imagine what type of mosquitoes now are basically laying eggs in this area, what it feels like, and you see people deep freeze, completely get messed up, good, by it. No car, no vehicle can drive in there at the moment now. Now, I can't even walk too far over here, so I'm going to try, but I can't walk too far over here, good, but all the pole lines are down, all the trees are down, right? You can see some zinc in the way, you can see the rubble in the way. I don't even know what the cleanup for this looks like. I don't know what these people are going to have to go through and experience. You see a toilet that is on the outskirts of it. So, I mean, right now, even a lot of people are using rivers, and not many people know how to use rivers effectively because people might be passing, bodily fluids in the river, and the river is flowing downstream and it becomes a hazard to somebody else, you know what I mean? So you have countless people. Some people that try rebuild, see a man there with him 2 lumber, he might try doing little thing and I try rebuild. Some people making sure that it doesn't kill their spirit. Now please, I'm also going to remind persons as a small YouTube content creator, please subscribe to my channel. It means a lot. It takes a lot to come out here and to do these things. I mean, I was able to gather up some stuff and we're giving to specific families today because you have people who are donating a lot, but I want to get to some specific family. The platform has been highlighting Jamaicans for years now. And so because of that, we have built a relationship with a lot of people and I keep those relationships going. So please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so as yet. It does a lot because it also helps me to help those who watch the channel. So look at the water right there, and I'm going to show you where the mark of how high the water came, right? So you can look at the water right there, and it's still water, and that is what is dangerous. When that water is still water, I mean, that is just a breeding ground for mosquitoes. And when you talk about mosquitoes, you talk about things like dengue, right? So there are just so many things. Now, if you look at this area over here, it looks pretty much like a swamp land, all right? Look at this area over here, and this is just on the outskirts of this New River community, right? It is just like a swampland. You see people even try to hang up their clothes because regular life have to still go on. People are living. So you see the water that is there, right? You don't know what can be in the water. You don't know what is forming in the water. People will always tell you that still water is very dangerous. Good? So you see houses that are covered, and I can't imagine what these people were going through even in the night when it was happening, right? And you know that you have to evacuate and you don't have anywhere to evacuate and you're wondering how high the water is going to rise. People have to live their personal life. So it's not easy. Even when I came here, I saw a young man, he rode his bike to as far as he could. Yeah, man, guidance. To as far as he could. And then you could just see the despondent look. He just sat down right over there, so right on his veranda, and his shoulders shrugged, and you can just see, a sense of loss, a sense of grief, a sense of despair. So it is not the easiest of things. We love the well wishes that a lot of people are giving. I see something in the water right there, so I can't see it, but something is causing the water to move. Take care of yourself. Something is causing the water to move, right? We don't know what is in the water moving. But, you know what I mean, you have different things that's just going to pop up as a result of all of this. And you can see, you know, you can see how the water is like green at this point. Good. And this is a whole community now. You look past there, there's a morgue. A morgue is over there. I don't know how they would have, if it would have had dead bodies in it. And I don't know how they would have made sure that all of those dead bodies, you know, were removed from it. But there are just so many things to consider that you don't think about it until you're in the situation itself, right? Now, let's look at even over this place. They have a delivery truck. And look at how wait, but first of all, let me show you what they had to do. So when the different officials came, they put this in many of these communities to measure how high the water went. Now, if you look at that wall that's behind the sign, you can see how high the water went. The challenge is that some people might say, well, you know, but what does that mean? Well, the challenge is this, right? The water gets to that point, it doesn't have anywhere to escape. Now, this community, as well as adjoining communities like Brighton, which hosted one of the best off-road shows that I've ever been to, couple months ago, right? It was really nice, really brought the community together. Now, all of these places are surrounded by a lot of rivers. Rivers pass a lot of these places, and what happens is that the embankment, well, the water just comes over the embankment, and there is no release point. So this water, we're just hoping that, I mean, the sun is really hot today, so we're hoping that the constant heat causes the water to evaporate. But if that's not the case, and that will take its own little time to happen. So we don't know when that is going to free up. And again, this is, I can't reiterate how much of a health hazard this will become for families and people in this community, because there are just going to be so many mosquito-borne disease that will come, right? So I see a gas cylinder that's also in the yard. I see a palm tree that has fallen down. The roof completely gone. If you look at the roof for the house, and you can just imagine what the other places are like. Now, we can't even drive too much inland because, you know, this can get deeper and we just don't want to cause, you know, any damage to the vehicle. No, but look at that vehicle that's in there, right? That vehicle is covered with water. So somebody just leave the delivery vehicle and the entire yard, this is a yard that we're looking at right here. The yard is completely covered with water. So it is not the easiest of things just to be in circumstances like these. And again, please remember, many of these people going to need continuous help. This has displaced a lot of families, right? This is a community that stretches far back. It starts New River. You can use New River to access Brighton. You can use New River to access different parts of St. Elizabeth. So there are different places off the road, and these are the inland areas, and many inland areas feel like, you know, they're not getting the attention that they'd love to get the support that they want to get. You see, Malcolm? Yo, we're done with supply already. I look at you, did come. Which side? This side? All right, cool. We're going something. Just give me a little bit here. Yeah, man, no problem, man. So what you don't really want? Water? What you don't really want? Water? Food, all right, no problem. So you see? So you see, she have her son and a little 12-year-old inside. So she'll carry her stuff them. It is not the easiest of things, right? So we're going to try to get some stuff. She said she don't necessarily need water, but she wants some food, right? And so it is not the easiest just for, I can't even imagine, lady, where you go through, right? I can't even imagine what many of these people are going through, right? So at this moment, she said she have a little baby. So of course, you know what I mean, it's not the easiest of things. We're trying to get some stuff. We have some whole heap of families that we're trying to get to, but we need to get to specific people. So we're not dropping off to just distribution centers. We're trying to drop off to specific people, all right? No, we now get our face in it, so you're not going to see her face, good? So we'll do a thing. You can't just walk straight, you don't have to look around. All right, you take care of yourself, good? So at the end of the day, I mean, it's a rough experience to be in. Let me ask you something. Can we drive on that water? No. Can't drive far? Thank you very much, all right? Yeah, beyond the light post. All right, thank you so much. Yeah, man, cool. You take care of yourself. Yes, man. God bless. So it's not easy, you know, in terms of what many of these people have to go to. Let me show you just what the main road is like, because the main road was not affected, but these areas are affected, and you're dealing with humans and just human instincts and human basic behavior. And, you know what I mean, people are hurt, you know what I mean, people are displaced. Anybody who has ever been, you know, put out due to extenuating circumstances like these, you can just imagine what it is like, right? And this is one of the areas that we actually, when we were giving some goods to some other people and we were looking down, we saw New River. And when we saw New River, we just said we had to stop because it just looked horrible in terms of, you know, the conditions and everything like that. Many people also do their farming and their different agriculture. And if you look across that house right there, say, we see some goat. And many people lost their livestock right here. Good. So it is not the easiest of things. This is definitely one of the more damaged communities inland because the entire community is damaged. The same thing with Content, but Content is a aquifer. That is the issue. Round here so is more of a something there. Round here so is more of a bunch of rivers that's surrounding the community, and the water just overflow, and it is what it is. Let me show you what the outskirts now looks like, all right? So we're going to walk around and try to show you one and two places. And we're going to show you some of the outskirts. And the ground, as you can tell, is very slippery, right? So nobody is coming into this space at this moment. And I don't know what the houses are going to look like post all of this. Good? It's going to be, I don't know. I don't know what life going to look like after this. I don't know. Because not even them have experienced this. Even what is happening in Content, Manchester, they said that it took about, the last time the water came up so high from underground was in 2002, right? So we are in 2025. That's 23 years removed. So, I mean, you know, many people don't even understand, you know, how to even deal with something like this and how are they going to build back from something like this. This is a beautiful community, you know, prior to all of this. I mean, every time you drive past the bypass for Santa Cruz, this is a community that you would see, and when you want to access different communities, this was a great access point. We were told that don't even pass a stoplight. Now, I mean, a post, right, a light post. Don't pass the light post whatsoever. So they were just telling us, you know what I mean, you just can't get in. So even the people who have evacuated, I don't know how they can even return to their homes, because that's also a ramification in all of this. Just a really rough thing to be at. You can still see people using this road as a bypass. You know what I mean? There is a house that I wanted to show you. And that's one of the houses over there that I wanted to show you. And you can see how it has been ravaged. But you can still see that somebody's living there and them hanging out them clothes, and you know, it's not the easiest of things. This person also had a farm to the back of his or her home, and you can see how the farm was destroyed. So, you know, I mean, not everybody can leave and go somewhere, and it's not the easiest of things for many people. Good? So many people still have to wash them clothes. Many people still have to wash them clothes. Many people still have to be figuring out how to survive in the midst of all of this, right? In the midst of all of this, people still have to be surviving. A lot of people have lost their jobs. Don't forget things like that. A lot of people, you know what I mean, don't have no electricity, don't have no running water, same way, you know. It's what is happening even with these people that we were able to help. And we came out here with the target to help some specific families that are close to the Kareems network. And, you know, over the years we have built relationships, so we know these people. We connect with these people. You know what I mean? We develop a relationship, because this platform can't survive without authentic Jamaicans. And it's a platform that has always prided itself on showcasing authentic Jamaicans. If you watch a lot of my videos, then you'll see where I tell a lot of personal Jamaican stories of, you know, triumph, of defeat, of victory. You know what I mean? Starting small businesses, everything like that. So, needless to say, over the years, you know, we develop a strong relationship with these people. You understand? And it's not the easiest of things. So even when you see a little baby, you know, being brought up in a condition like this, you have to think about that child's health. Like, what does that look like? You know what I mean? And people kind of hurt. People hurt, you know? So there's no way I could do any interview with anybody at this moment. It just, it would be very tasteless, right? Because people are trying to figure out how they're going to put the pieces back to their lives together. And it is not the easiest, of things. But we're out here trying to do the best we can do. Many places are still untouched. I hope that there's no body down there, so because there's no help that really can get down there. So, in content in Manchester, people have to be using paddle boats, literally paddle boats to get around. So it is not the easiest of things, for anybody who is located in any of these dire situations. I don't know what it's like. I remember people, the rain's still falling, right? Up to the other day, the rain was falling. So you still have the elements that you're dealing with. Life doesn't stop. Life continues. So for the people who they would have had work, they can't go work anymore, right? Sometimes some of them, their workplace already get messed up and blown down. So the source of income is extremely low. Now, there's going to be a tremendous burden on our health facilities, the hospitals, the clinics. They are going to be bombarded in the coming weeks because you're dealing with people who would have wanted medication and can't get medication. We don't talk about the elderly as yet. We don't talk about, those who are injured and, those who have different disabilities. We haven't spoken to them or extended to them as yet. So it is not the easiest of things. I can't fathom, what it's going to be like for them, the wheelchair bound. Those aren't people who can go out there and just get stuff, you understand, and get things going. So yeah, it's not the easiest thing. It's really a rough situation that we're in right now. And any assistance, find a group, find a charity group. There are so many charity groups, find a reputable group and see, whatever it is that you can do, right? Anybody that you can find and you just say, well, listen, this is a charity group that I want to work with, and I'm going to find this charity group and work with them, right? And for those of you who are abroad and you can't come down, don't worry about it. Just go and gather up stuff. Just go and put a barrel together. You don't have to rush it. Just put a barrel together because this is something that we're going to be experiencing in phases, right? This is just the first phase. This is going to take a long while to rebuild. So we're going to need your constant assistance in rebuilding, all right? So anything that you can do, any registered charity, any place that is totally official, you go there, you support the place, all right? Now we are going to be we're going to try to head as far west as we can today. We got up very early in the morning and now we're going to make the journey. We have stopped and given to about 3 families already. So 3 families have already gotten our support, so we're going to continue with that and we're going to see how far we can reach with those 3 families.
The question I get asked the most ever since Hurricane Melissa hit Jamaica on October 28th is what's happening, what's happening on the ground. Like, there's so many people who want to help. There's so many people who have reached out to me via email, via direct messaging in terms of, what to contribute, what to do. And I have kind of discouraged a lot of people from traveling right now because I just feel like the essential workers are needed more than anything else. And because people are desperate, there is some looting that is taking place, especially like when you're packing up your vehicle with stuff and you're going down and people can see that there is stuff on the vehicle and they're not getting access to these things. They'll literally grab it off the back of the pickup. It is a real thing that is happening now in a lot of regions in the west and in the south. Many places still not getting the aid because it's more popular places, but the inland places are getting a lot of aid. And there are people in St. James and people in Trelawney who are crying, who say, because they're not on the outskirts. You really have to drive into some of these communities and some of these areas. It is not the easiest of things. So even though many people abroad would want to come down, I don't encourage them. I said, find a group, find a charity that you trust, that you believe in. I know 2 churches that are doing a good job. Open Bible Church as well as Boulevard Baptist. You can reach out to them and they can distribute things for you. But right now there are still many roads that are impassable. There are places in Manchester where the water is just rising from underground. Now, I went to the supermarket just trying to gather up some stuff and it was horrendous in Price Mart, right? It was horrendous. I couldn't find places to park and you're trying to get things in bulk to send out now. So a lot of people trying to get stuff in boat to send down on a Thursday and a Friday. It's horrible, especially that price mark on a Friday, because many people are trying to get things down to their relatives for the weekend. So of course you can imagine on the weekends, like on that Saturday and on that Sunday, it's bumper to bumper traffic, especially in places like Lacovia, or if you go through Holland, Bamboo. It's not the easiest of things, right? I mean, I was part of a team that coordinated bringing down some stuff, and we had some things on the van, and we just had to find like a main spot to drop them off, and then allow the relevant authorities them to bring them down, and just with like directives, like, okay, we want this particular community to get this, because as you can imagine, like, those that are easiest to access will always get more than those who are on the inland. And that's one of the things that countless people are complaining on the ground. Next thing is this: people can't get gas in the west, right? So in places like St. James, and in so many places, places in Hanover, you can't get gas. Cash is another thing. People don't have, there's no ATM, because some of these roads are still impassable. There's nobody to bring the money to these ATM, to replenish it. So a lot of people are without cash, so they can't buy stuff, and that is a horrendous thing that is happening right now. So the care workers, them, they have it hard. I'm tired even just from doing my part. Like, I am super tired, and people might think that the only role that they can play is to go down there and to donate. And to be honest with you, a lot of times it causes more congestion than anything else. Like, you're still in like hours of traffic, from Lacovia. There's just hours of traffic. You can't move. If you look at it from a satellite view, it just look like one big light. You just can't move. And a lot of these streets are still dark. They're not safe. So I've told many people, I said, listen, if you want to bring down things, you can ship it down, but you can also wait until the second phase, because right now it's not necessarily even the goods, it's to get the goods to the people who really need it. And for that reason, we need more people who understand the terrain, understand the inlands of Jamaica, and can carry people to the inlands, because countless people are complaining that they're not getting anything. There was this one guy, he got some food for his child, and when he was trying to get back home, there were people who were thirsty, and you could see the thirst on them, you could see the deprivation on their faces, and he just had to give them the supply that he wanted to bring back for his children. So it's not the easiest of things when you're seeing what is happening on the streets. A lot of people want tarpaulin. That is serious. Many roofs are gone.
Respect for everything you have done, but right now we are in dire need for food, water, zinc, nails, and wood. The people have no roofs. A lot of people are sleeping in their cars on the road. Some are just sleeping under whatever zinc they can find. But we desperately need those things. And if people have chainsaws and you can give them up and send them here, please. We're trying to cut the neighborhoods that are cut off completely. We're begging help, please.
So in the meantime, in the interim, before you can get, the lumber, the different supplies, hardware supplies, for now people have to use tarpaulin. Some of my friends in Westmoreland have to be sleeping in their car. They can't leave their properties because looters will come in their property and take away stuff. So they have to be sleeping in their car. There's this one lady I know who, she's in her 80s, and she has to literally just sleep in her car. And it's just a hard thing. It's a very hard thing to think of. Some things that you might take for granted that you have, and you might say, well, this is a simple thing right now. It's not the easiest. Internet connection is very rough. One of my friends in Westmoreland, what he had to do, he had to find somebody who has a generator, and all of them have to come beside the generator to charge their phone and to set up things. And some people still don't have any form of internet. Like, there are people in Hanover who they have to be driving for hours to go to a shop that have internet access, that also has a generator, and they charge their phone and they communicate with their family, and then they have to go back inland, right, to their reality. So it is not the easiest of things. And I'm not trying to point or blame anybody at this point, because When you're on the field doing it, it's chaotic. There's no easy way about it. It's just chaotic when you're on the field. I mean, there was this one van that had to drive off. They had goods in the back of the van and they had to drive off because the crowd was coming down on them. You know what I mean? And the crowd is restless. So people going to get stampede. People, you know what I mean? People going to start pushed. There are a lot of places where no food, no light, no water for days now. Days on end. I got a chance to speak to another friend of mine in Trelawney and in the Alberton region, in the Cockpit Country type region, and that's way up. That's in the spine of Jamaica, right? Those places are impossible just to get to and to get supply to it, you know what I mean? So it is not easy what is happening on the ground. Now, a third of Jamaica is still operational. Kingston, Portland, St. Thomas, St. Catherine, parts of St. Mary, you know, those places are operational, but everywhere else, you know what I mean, especially as it gets deeper into the western and northern parts of the island, it is rough. It is horrendous in terms of what is happening. So right now, the eastern part of the island has to be doing a whole lot to support the southern and the western part of the island. It is not easy. People lining up at gas station just to get gas, you know what I mean? And even if you get the gas, you know, some people have to be driving into Kingston because price gouging has become a real thing. This one mother was saying that, you know, they were selling these small, we call them chubby. I mean, I don't know from a diaspora people if you know what a chubby is. It's like a small little thing like this, like a soda bottle or so. And that's $300 and ramen soup, that's $500. I mean, this is like double the prices, you know. And these are people without jobs, these are people without a home. So it's not the easiest of things. There are countless places. One of my other friends went down to St. James the other day to help a family member clean out her house because it was flooded out, and he said after a whole day of about 500 cleaning out the house, it looked as if they didn't do anything. The silt, everything that's there, the mud, it was just so hard, you know. And these people, they are living in these circumstances, and you can't leave your possession. That's another thing, you can't leave your possession. And this was one of the things why some people did not want to go to the shelters originally, because when they leave their possession, people would try and break into their home. Now, not a lot of people do these things, you know, but you have the miscreants out there who they are preying on the weak. And so, you know, as a person who you work hard for your possession, you don't want to come and see your door pry off, or, you know, your windows open and your TV gone, your fridge gone, you know, different things like this. And again, it's not happening, you know, in all of Jamaica. But in any country that these things occurring, any place, first world or developing country, this is a reality, right? I mean, they'll tell you any riots that has happened all over the world, looting has always taken place with them. So people have to be figuring out ways to, you know, kind of secure their possession. You know, for many of the roadways, they are completely destroyed. And, you know, even if you have like a sedan and you're trying to drive through it, like there are so many cars that are stuck on the road right now. Another major thing is carcasses, dead animals. There are dead animals, you know, I mean, in many of the inland places. Now, on the outskirts or the main roads, you might not see the dead animals right now because, you know, I mean, people would have tried to clear them up, but on the inland, there are a lot of dead animals, and, you know, some of us are just kind of preparing for the worst because we might have just dead bodies too of humans up there, because these are places that people don't get access to as yet. There are many places in Manchester that have not been accessed as yet. There are many places as well in Trelawney not been accessed as yet. There are many places in Hanover and even St. Elizabeth that has not been accessed as yet. So within Black River and in some parts of St. Elizabeth, you know, there are a lot of aids that are going down there, and Treasure Beach as well, but there are still so many communities that feel neglected and left out, and family members have not heard from them. I've gotten emails from countless people that asking, you know, they want to find out about this relative in Westmoreland. And Westmoreland, how can I forget you, right? I mean, my heart goes out to Westmoreland because there are places in Westmoreland. If you don't come from Westmoreland, you can't even find those places. So can you imagine what they are going through in times like these? It is not the easiest of things. You have your relatives, you have your friends. I mean, people are reaching out to me, especially because of the Kareems quest feature. I feature so many places across Jamaica. You can watch so many of these interviews on my channel, and these are people who are reaching out to me and they're showing me pictures. And the a few days ago, somebody reached out to me from Trelawney, and we tried to coordinate how I'm going to get a care package up to him. And he was like, well, my child's mother is in Kingston. But then he was like, there's no way for her to access me where I'm at. And I know the spot because it's really far up, basically to the spine of the country. And it is not the easiest of places to get through, even when there was not a hurricane. I mean, I have friends of mine who, they just, they feel depressed, they feel demotivated. It's not the easiest of things just to wake up to this. One of my friends, her restaurant was completely demolished. And if you see the NOLA video, you can look for it because I actually showed you what her restaurant was like before and then what happened afterwards. And she was trying so hard. She and her husband worked so hard to develop that place and to bring it to somewhere that people wanted to stop. And they had this nice staff, they really had a friendly staff, really helpful staff. And it's in Luana, and it was just a must-stop spot, and she built up that spot. And to see what it has been reduced to, she lose her roof, all of the windows are broken. It is not the easiest of things, and we have never experienced anything like this before. I mean, it has brought the country to a standstill in many ways because 2/3 of the country is not operational in this moment. So hearing from us in Kingston is one thing, but to hear from people in St. Elizabeth, to hear from people in Westmoreland, in Hanover, in St. James, and in Trelawney, it's a whole different thing altogether. So I mean, my heart goes out. I have to be coordinating a lot of things, and that's the best way I can help. I tell people that to put countless people on the road is not the best thing. One, it's not safe. Two, it causes so much congestion. Now, you have to remember too, there are people who are getting ill and the ambulance needs to be moving around. There are people who need the assistance of the police, and when you have this bumper-to-bumper traffic, it just makes matters worse. So sometimes the best way you can help is to donate your stuff, find a center and donate your stuff. There are countless places that are serving as donation centers. You can go to them. You have places in Devon House, you have places in Crossroad, and you just go to them, you give your supply to them, and then from there you allow them to do the distribution. And so I've been coordinating for my part, just trying to work out logistics and bringing things together. You call people and say, hey, we need this, we need clothing items, power banks is always a big thing as well. So if you are abroad, you can also think about power banks and the Starlink just to get, internet coverage. That's another thing. Something that's more on the expensive end are generators. Generators are a must, right? I mean, people need some form of electricity and some semblance. A lot of people don't even have to be going to the rivers to wash. There was this prominent video with some people in St. James, and they were all out there just washing, going back to old time living in terms of just, sitting down by the riverside and then just putting your clothes out on a stone and allowing it to dry. There were some other people who have a generator. They're selling, basically they're operating like a laundromat, charging per load to wash people's clothes. So it is not the easiest of things for people in St. James. I mean, many people are displaced, and the rain, we're still open to the elements of the weather, right? So the rain is still drizzling sometimes, the rain is still falling sometimes, and many people's roofs are gone. Many people windows are gone, and you have to stay home, and you have to be protecting your items. You're looking at things like even the children. These children won't be able to go to school, and we don't know for how long they won't be able to go to school. Another thing people have been asking me, when will some level of normalcy return? I don't know. I got a chance to engage with some architects, and they were saying, listen, Black River needs to rebuild 500 yards closer inland. Just looking at the logistics of it, and what does the rebuilding process looks like. I got a chance to speak to one of the hotel owners in Treasure Beach, and one of the things that really helped Treasure Beach is that it has always been a close-knit community. So many of the hotel owners have been working together closely. One person, David, um, he was in, and he's the owner of Lashings. He's the guy who come from Britain and married a Jamaican and started his family in Jamaica, right? And then built his hotel, and he was bringing down starlings. He was coordinating, helping to distribute food. His wife is working tirelessly on the ground because he had to go away to start raising funds, and he was able to raise funds and to bring back. So it's all hands on deck, and I tell a lot of people this because I watched this happen with Katrina, where after the fanfare was over, the donations dried up, and I don't want that to happen. What I don't want to happen is that, the initial rush, everybody wants to come and give, and that is a good thing. But this is an ongoing thing. This is going to take months, it's going to take over a year. You know what I mean? So we need help in phases. And I was working with a group of females and they really wanted to come down. They called me and I was sourcing Airbnbs for them and, just helping to plan out their itinerary in terms of down here. And I said to them, I said, ladies, I don't encourage you to come now. I would love if you could just gather up your stuff and then in January you can come down and we can work together and we can find places that are going to need help. Right now, the essential workers are the ones who are needed more than anything else. And a lot of the international aids that we are getting, they are making a big difference because they're coming air freight, they're coming by ship, they're coming, in many different ways. But it's really to get to the inland places, right? How do we get to the inland places? And the issue now becomes equitable distribution. That's really what it becomes. And it's a challenging thing because many people don't know the terrain and the inland terrain. A lot of us, we just know the outskirts and we know the main road. But to get into a lot of inland districts, it's very hard to navigate, and especially when you don't know the terrain, you don't know the alternate routes, you don't know, the various districts and how many people are in the districts. And so what is happening is that when they reach to some of these districts, the people on the outskirts of these districts take all of the goods, and then the people on the inside, they don't get anything. So even for the old people, many of them not getting anything right now. It's like it's literally the fittest of the fit, and there is no right or wrong answer. I cannot tell people because I would see people looting stuff, and because I'm on the ground in so many ways, I'm like, you can't tell whether it's right or it's wrong because you can't tell whether some people starving or not. Now, of course, you're going to have some people who go and try and capitalize on the moment, but there are many people who are starving. There are many people who are trying to get back things to their grandmother. There are many people who recognize that the help is not penetrating and getting to the inner parts. So they have to come out themselves and be grabbing stuff and running with stuff. So it is not the easiest of things. The scene is not easy whatsoever. For those who have to be at ground zero in many of these parishes and have to be trying to figure out how to distribute the things, it is not easy by any stretch. I am so tired even just working from an administrative standpoint. So I can imagine the hands-on standpoint. I've had to tell a lot of the people who reach out to me that, listen, we need help in many other ways. If you can coordinate fundraising from where you are, right, and then we can find the groups and we'll find the relevant groups, and then they can use that fundraising, to get stuff done, then fine. Let us figure out a way how to get it done. But it's not that, instinctively most people think that I need to be there. And just to go down there with just 2 bags of food and them stuff, it don't make no sense. To go down there even with just a car, it don't make no sense because there are tractors and there are trailers on the road that can't move and they have goods and they need to get down there. So, the best thing that you can implore a person to do in times like these is to find alternate ways. We need fundraising and we need ongoing fundraising. So if you're abroad and you're watching this, start just getting up your stuff then. Just take your time to start. Just start to pack a barrel. That barrel don't have to be ready by the end of November. It doesn't even have to be ready by the end of December. We're going to need things in January, February, March. We're going to need countless things, all right? You can also start doing your research to find which charity is helping out in which particular district. Because places like Black River, even though Black River is devastated, a lot of help is going down to Black River, right? Places like Santa Cruz as well, a lot of help is getting there, but there are a lot of other places which Horn in Westmoreland need a lot of help, right? Many spots in Manchester, they need a lot of help. Albert Town, there are so many places that still need assistance. So we have to figure out ways of how we're going to be getting through to these various spots and to be providing assistance to them. Of course, sometimes morale can get very low because it is taxing. Like even the education system, I don't even know how that is going to work. People on the eastern end, yes, you can send your kids to school. And school for now, for Black River, school for Westmoreland, that's non-existent for now. Like, I don't know how these kids are going to get to school. Some of the 800 plus schools that we have, 600 were damaged immensely. So 600, many schools served as shelters and refuge for storm victims, and even then it was just it was a lot. So needless to say, even a school in Akong Fong, which is a very lovely school, that school is without a roof, and that school has extensive damage that is done to it. So it is not the easiest of things. Since this whole thing has occurred, I think probably 2 nights I get to sleep 8 hours of like rest. The rest of the nights is just close my eyes real quick, get back up, start working with the team that I'm working with, and start figuring out how to get stuff. We were trying to get some suitcases because we had identified like several families, and we found out what those families wanted specifically. So we were trying to get stuff, because another thing that you don't want to bombard people with the same thing. So you have to be in liaison with people on the ground so they can tell you what are the things that are in dire need. Now, things like power bank, you can never have enough of them, right? Because you constantly need to charge, and the Starlink, you need that as well, because you want connectivity. So there are a lot of things that are needed. Some places need nails, some places need lumber, some places need sheets of ply, to just have a makeshift home in the time being. It is not the easiest of things. A lot of my friends, one of my female friends, she just, she just kind of spaced out because she have her home, and, just to see everything get destroyed. It is, how do you wake up into that? And the frustration, and you can't have proper water, and some people have to drive to water. Some persons brave it out, but not everybody even have the willpower to fight things like that, because it's hard. It's hard, and even driving on the road, there's still debris on a lot of the roads. So especially when you're coming off the main roads, some of the main roads, and yes, but the other roads, many of these places are impassable. Water is even running from under the road. Many vehicles are stuck, right? There are some communities that people trying to see their family members, they're trying to get some supplies to the family members, and they are stuck. So it is not the easiest of things. Some people can make it part way, and we have to be coordinating with those who can make it part way. Like some people can make it to Loana. Loana is a good central spot. So sometimes you have to tell a person, say, all right, then I'm going to be waiting at the Loana gas station, which is a very popular place, same close to the Nola that I've been telling you about with my friend who her restaurant got devastated. But that's a central spot for both Westmoreland and people in Black River and people, in Manchester. So it doesn't matter which angle you're coming from. So sometimes I have to tell people that, all right, if you can get there, come and get there, because I know that even when people donate stuff, they want to get it to specific people, right? You're trying to get it to your family, to your specific people, because sometimes even the distribution channels aren't as effective as possible. Like even when you give to a charity, you have to wonder, you have to ask them, like, how good is your distribution? Because if you can't get to the meaningful, the communities that really need it, it's not easy of things. You can't go into some of these places without police escort. That's the truth. There was one of my friends who, she's a part of the Kiwanis Club. They went down with a vehicle, and You know what I mean? They end up in some troubles because they met a group of people who they was like, yo, we want these goods, right? And they just had to let them go. They did not get to go to their destination. So it is not the easiest of things, but this is basically what is happening in a nutshell on the southern and on the western part of the island. You know, many people still try to keep up in a positive spirit, but it's not easy. So, you know, you can stay tuned to my website, kareemsquest.com. I post timely news articles that you can read, and you can also sign up for my newsletter so that you can get these articles and be abreast of what is happening and how you can help, because I know that many of you want to help. I know that. I feel the energy. I read some of the comments. I see the emails, right? I know you want to help. Good. So these are some of the most efficient ways you can help based on the information that I've shared with you.